Hey, welcome back to another session of Ironsworn. We have been off for over a month now. I was just looking at it to find out like when was our last video? Because oh hey, look at that. Thanks, Blink.
Hey.
Speaking of, this is Blink and Firefly over here to my side. She's gonna be joining me as always on this Ironsworn session as my little co-op partner. Um, yeah, when was the last one again? So episode 17 we did on March 24th. So yeah, it's been just a little over a month where we've had to be on a bit of a hiatus for various reasons. One in particular was just for a while my work was really standing in the way, and when we were ordinarily recording these, I just was not able to reliably know that I wouldn't be interrupted with requests coming in, things like that. Working from home got really crazy. And, well, good news, bad news, I'm not working right now, so that's not a problem anymore. And so we're back from outer space. So look upon your face. How have you been? Like
Doing all right. Hanging in there, trying to stay awake.
on a
Uh,
scale on a scale of 1 to 10, and I've got ideas about where I am on this. How much do you think you remember about where we left off? Scale of 1 to 10.
I, I have a pretty confident 8.
8. You're doing better than I am. Then I'm definitely below a 5. I was literally just as we were loading this up, watching the last VOD for just like clicking around just to get some little snippets of like just re-jog that memory a little bit. Remember what was involved with the ritual. There was so much stuff I didn't remember. I'm glad I did that. Um, well, if you have an 8, then maybe you should let us know where did we last leave off? What's going on? Because you
Um,
sounds like you remember better than I do.
so, Carrie.
Carrie,
Carrie. So, Grae, my character.
we're off to a great start. You've got the wrong name for your character.
God damn it.
This is sounding
Um,
like an 8. You know,
um,
Miranda. She was there too, and they were all around the table. And they were
so yeah, so my character Grae was just finishing up a hiatus and had all their health back up and all the stats back up
this is
as far as
accurate.
could be.
Yeah.
And then she went and had to go and get what ingredients for to change back. What's his face?
Flint.
So
Yeah.
she went scavenging
Yeah.
for ingredients and found them, but also found the baddies again.
That
They
is
were
correct.
performing a ritual in the middle of the woods, and so she wanted to try her luck and try and find another. Um, is it ingredient?
Yeah. Like component, I guess. One of the two,
um,
whatever you want to call it.
for the spell. And so she snuck into one of the tents and was rummaging around looking for gold, I guess.
Yeah. That's how I remember it, anyway.
And then a dog started barking. She didn't realize there was a dog in there. And then the dog's owner opened the tent flap, and then we just
That's
ended.
that's where we left off. Yeah. Yeah, we had spent a lot of time. Like, not too much happened last session because we literally spent over an hour of it figuring out some amount of your like what is involved with this ritual you're going to be doing to try and bring Flint back. Like, we were answering a lot of questions and really talking it out, figuring out a lot of the more specific details and like key components. And so what we determined, based on what I was just reviewing, was that there were basically 3 missing things to this ritual. The major things, anyway. There's a lot of minor crap that we don't need to worry about, but the 3 like big key elements that we need to secure in order to make this possible is you need to get more moth musk. You had some, but not really enough to make this ointment that you would need to do to like smear or not smear over, but like draw all these like symbols in specific spots on the body that would be volunteered. You need a body. That one was known, but you would certainly need somebody whose body had an emotional connection to Flint, is still alive, and can do the swap. Yeah, what's up, introvert? Thank you. You needed And then the other things that we determined you would need are gold was going to play a significant kind of just component in this, in whatever ointment you were making. You're going to need to get some gold, which, as you were mentioning, you were just trying to see if you could find. And then the other one was you need the blood of a beast of burden. Which, yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. Nothing too fancy with that, just some amount of blood that your characters, yeah, exactly. Like when we were talking about it, we kept saying ox, but I don't think it needed to specifically be an ox. Just a beast of burden, like an ox. I don't think we ever determined exactly how much blood we're talking here, but yeah, like that size bottle of blood. I think. What was that? Was that Yoo-hoo?
This is Upstate Farms, which is like local milk.
Oh, okay.
It's a vanilla cappuccino milk drink.
This stream brought to you by.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, no, Orangutan, I'm glad to be back. We were outside influences in life were kind of forcing a hiatus, but I am hoping to now make this the regular time, at least until anything changes that. Just getting back to what was once the original time slot, I believe, 2 p.m. on Tuesdays, or 2 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern time. I as long as, like, so far this seems like it would be a fine time for you, or did it turn out to be a big pain in the ass?
Not for me.
Okay, good. Then, yeah. Hope your doctor's not in quarantine. You need to call him. I hope that too. So anyway, that's where we left off. Kind of in the heat of the moment with Grae being stumbled in on. Now, I'm going to head over to Grae's character sheet real quick. There's one quick development that we talked about out of session that I want to clue you all in on, because Grae has a new asset. Because as we recall, Grae got maimed when she got trampled a few sessions ago, and finally spent the points on getting the Path of the Battle Scarred, which is something you can only get when you're maimed. So you see, now you've got enough assets, I had to do a little like concatenation to make them all fit. But you chose, there's a few options on there on Battle Scarred, and they all have a little bit of a trade-off. The one that Blink chose is you focus your energies, reduce your edge or iron by 1, and add up to 2 to wits or heart, or 1 to each. So that's what happened over here.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, so I've got the stats updated over here. You can now see where it used to be edge 2, heart 3, iron 1, shadow 1, wits 2, I think is how it was. Anyway, this is how it is now. Heart is now up to the maximum it can possibly be. You have got 4 heart, so going to be an utter bamf at convincing people of things, as long as you're not like lying to them. You're going to be really bad at lying still, but if you're being just honest with people and trying to rally them to your side, or just be courageous and like keep pressing on when you're wounded and stuff like that, you are going to be a master at that.
Hey, where's my pen?
And then your wits, awareness of your environment and intelligence and everything, those are also pretty damn high. As we were talking about, kind of being reflected in how you're starting to do more of this like magical study and like reading through this spell book. So we've now got a little bit of a case of like a couple of really high stats and then a bunch of really low ones. And just as a reminder of what we talked about back then, what that means is it's going to be, there are certain things that are going to be really hard for you to do. Unfortunately, right now, combat is one of them in like all of its forms. But that you will be really good at probably getting other people to help you. And so, obviously, it's not something you always need to do, but just a new thing to keep in mind, that might make your life a little bit easier if you turn to help more often, just because, with Edge, Iron, and Shadow at 1, like, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge. The things you're good at, you're great at, but the other things, oof. So,
Okay.
Hopefully, as we also discussed them, we're going to have Flint back soon, which, with a second pair of stats, that'll help balance that out a little bit, Flint...
I sure hope so.
Yeah. 2 of those stats that you're terrible at, Flint has a 2 in. The only thing that we'll just both be terrible at Edge. But, yeah.
There are worse things.
Exactly. I believe in you. I think we can make this work. You can last long enough to get Flint back, and then we'll have a little bit less of a danger zone going on here. But yeah, unfortunately, is not a great time in the fiction to not be good at fighting. But this isn't technically a fight yet. All that happened was this the owner of the dog, who was just in the middle of that ritual over at the bonfire in the forest, you know, angrily opens up the flap, but in that way, like, he's angry at the dog for making such a ruckus in the middle of their important business. Because, like, they were trying to keep it going, and, like, the dog just kept barking. And then his eyes lock with yours, and he sees why the dog is barking. And I don't think he recognizes you. I'm not going to say this was one of the people that was... Either he wasn't there during that night where y'all, like, initially got attacked in the forest, or... Like, he either wasn't there or he just doesn't remember you, but you don't see that, like, glint of recognition. He's just, like, startled by the fact that there's a person in the tent. And I think you have a moment here to maybe, like, control the narrative of this and maybe convince him that this isn't such a bad thing. Like, this doesn't have to turn into a fight, but it very easily could if things go wrong. I mean, you're an intruder rifling through... Well, I guess... I can't remember if, like... Because I think you were tending with the dogs. You're probably not, like, arms deep in his belongings when this happens, at least. Because you're trying to calm the dog down. Yeah. So what do you do at this moment? Time freezes for a moment.
I say, please, sir, can I have some food?
Hey, honestly, again, with your heart the way it is, you might be able to pull that sort of thing off. Just look like a desperate person who needs food.
I try to come off as not very intelligent, just like...
The only thing to keep in mind, of course, I guess, is this is a lie. Which is the one problem with this.
Why is that a problem?
Because you're terrible at shadow.
My character?
No, I just mean, like... Like, you can do it. I just mean, like, mathematically, I'm remembering. I guess this technically isn't...
It should be hard. Oh, wait, it is lie.
It's kind of... Yeah, you're lying to him right now.
I'm appealing to his heart.
You are, but because of it being so rooted in falsehood, you have to be a good liar to pull it off. And I'm not saying you can't do this, just that, just to remind us both, since we're both going to be a little rusty at this, I definitely thought it was hard for a moment until I remembered, wait a minute, this is 100% in Shadow's domain. Yeah. So it's gonna be hard to lie here, unless we find some way to boost that up a little bit. Yeah, because your momentum is pretty low right now. It's basically just gonna be the stat roll that you're gonna have to rely on, and who knows, maybe it'll work. Do you want to stay with that, or knowing that it's Shadow do you want to try something else?
I want to go with that.
Okay, then let's do it. I admire it. I like to stick him with what feels right for your character. Alright, first roll post-hiatus. Let's see. Will this new era go a little bit differently in terms of rolling? Keeping in mind, of course, this one's pretty likely to do badly. So maybe we won't judge it all on this roll, but hey, if this one actually does work, that's a sign of a new era. Let's see. Come on. Make the roll. The new era is it gets stuck on roll. Oh, you know what? This has actually been a thing lately. I've been using Roll20 for some other stuff with friends, and because so many people are using Roll20 right now, sometimes it's really slow to load rolls.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's been having a little bit of a problem with that. So it's a coming. It's brewing. Let's see. I might need to just grab some physical dice. Or do you have any nearby?
I do not have... I wish.
Okay, well, I can grab some real quick, because if it's going to take this long, I might need to just roll it not on screen.
There is a generator, but you can just...
Give me one moment. I've got him in just the other room. And we'll see if it loads by the time I get back. 1 second.
You can Google a generator. He doesn't hear me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it still hasn't loaded. Okay. Let's definitely just roll for this in person. So sorry, we ordinarily show the dice results down below, but it looks like that might be a problem. I think I'll still try it every time in case it recovers, because it kind of goes in patches. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's not. But I have actually my very original dice set. These were the first ones I ever bought when I first started doing RPGs. These like aqua speckled dice. I still got them.
Oh, nice.
So,
Pretty.
yeah. Yeah, they are. I like them. You can't really see them very well, but some of them, like the D20 that's gotten a lot of use, which I'm not using right now, there are certain sides that are like so frayed. Like there's the 17 on it. I know it's 17, but you can barely read any of it anymore. Anyway. The new era involves rolling physical dice, and yeah, as should be expected. Yeah, the challenge dice were 10 and 8, and you only rolled a 1 on the D6. So yeah, not even close. He's definitely not buying it. Yeah, sadly.
Do I suffer any consequences?
Well, let's find out. There's definitely going to be something involved. So this was basically a compel move with lying or swindling. So you're rolling shadow on a miss. They refuse or make it a man, which costs you greatly. Now, as we discussed last time, like I don't want to always just make things like go so quickly into battle, just because it gets a little bit boring, and it's also like it's harsh to jump straight to that. That being said, this is a circumstance where it makes a lot of sense. Like, you're an intruder, and he's clearly not buying it. So at the very least, he's going to call you on that and, like, point out that you're... I think he'd say something along the lines of, bullshit you are. Give me the truth now. And he's like got a hand towards the dog that's like a staying hand, but it's a hand that seems like at any given moment all it will take is like, because like the dog is like watching him intently. As soon as he gives like one of these or something, like the dog's just gonna start attacking. Like he's got just a ready hand to give the order to the dog.
Oh, now I'm in huge trouble.
Yeah, like the dog is like sitting there and watching, and like keeps going back and forth between you, like with this kind of nervous energy and like almost a slight whimper, like it really wants to. Okay. And he's got a hand up, ready to signal. What's up, Chuck?
I'm just gonna go with the truth.
Ooh.
Look.
Interesting.
I was just looking for gold. I don't have much. I'm sorry. I'll go now, and I won't bother you again.
Everything about that, as far as I can tell, is truthful. Assuming you do indeed intend to, like, once you leave, like, not bother them anymore.
Oh yeah, I'm getting the hell out of
here. Yeah. Yeah,
there's too many of these encounters.
That makes it. What's interesting is that, as we discussed last time, like, gold is not used as like they don't trade it or anything. Like, nobody uses it as a currency. It's just like people use it because people use it because it's pretty. So what's interesting is like gold is such an interesting thing to be claiming to look for him, because it'd be. Well, anyway, let's see how this roll goes.
I'll just be like, I'm a jeweler, and
well, as soon as you lie, this might be worse. Right. Yeah, you're sticking to the truth so far. I know it's such a hard thing to avoid, because I so roll into like it's so easy to just come up with lies, but unfortunately when the numbers don't back you up, yeah. But hey, you're giving him what he wanted here. So I think this is probably another compel where you're basically saying like, look, please leave. Like, I'll leave, you'll leave. Just let's both just walk away from this, and nothing has to happen. So yeah, that sounds like another compel to me, but this time with heart. So let's see. I'm gonna give the digital one another try to see if it works. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So you got a weak hit out of it. And that is... I believe that is one where they will ask for something in return. But you're going to get +1 momentum. So helping build that up, which is nice. So I wonder if there's something that you visibly have on you that he would want as a kind of just like yeah, you owe me. Because like the first thing that came into mind was like, oh, he needs another one for the ritual. I was like, that's dumb. No, he wants you to go away. He wouldn't be like, come join our secret ritual. So it wouldn't be that. But I think it could be just something you have on your person, which we could represent as just like losing a little bit of supply. But like, I'd love it to be in our fiction, like a specific thing that he sees. So what?
It's too bright.
Oh, do you open up the curtain?
Stop opening. Sorry. The curtain.
No problem.
There are other windows, Cat.
That's all right. So, what types of things do you think that you would have that you're like carrying that might be visible? Not necessarily like, open, like, but just something that he would have any chance of seeing that you have on you.
I'll just be like, hey, you like herbal tea? Because I'm an herbalist. I'm gonna have some tea leaves on me.
That's true. Yeah.
Do you like peppermint?
In this calming, yeah, you could just brew him some tea. You could bond over some tea.
Well, I'm sure he's got to get back to his ritual, so I've just given.
Yeah.
I was just gonna give him the tea leaves.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Here, take this little pouch of tea leaves.
That makes sense.
It has stomach settling properties.
Yeah, I like it. Let's go with that. You offer him up some tea leaves. We'll lower your supply back down. And, there we go. It's down to 4. I like it. So, yeah, and then his hands in a more slowly lowers, not in an active, like, kill motion or anything, but just slowly lowers back down, and the dog's energy, like, settles down, and, like, it kind of, like, is watching you, but no longer has that just like nervous energy of trying to hold back attacking. He's now just watching, but no longer on the edge. And let's see. I wonder. I can't remember if we determined if he even had gold or not, or if anybody did. Let's find out, because that'll definitely alter his response a little bit. Like if he didn't even have gold, be like, looking in the wrong place. Yeah. Let's see. Let's yeah. Let's roll an oracle real quick to find out. 50-50, like, did they even have gold in this tent? Let's see. The question to the oracle, did they have gold in the tent? No. Didn't have it here anyway. Hey, well, I guess in that regard, like, saying you're not going to come back, you're not even missing out on anything. Like, yeah, so as he lowers a steadying hand and, like, takes the offer of the tea leaves from you, and, like, tucks it away into, like something on his belt or something, just kind of shakes his head and goes, should probably be more careful. I didn't even have any gold here. Get out. I don't want to see you anymore.
I just kind of sidestep my way out while looking at him, nod to him.
This is not a place for you.
I appreciate your graciousness, sir.
He gives a nod and, like, waits to observe that you have definitely... Like, he's, like, watching to make sure that you're definitely leaving and, like, steps outside the tent to kind of watch you leave deeper into the woods before eventually going back to the ritual. Yeah. So there we go.
But I got moth musk.
You did.
Which looks like this.
Oh, you drew it? Yeah. Nice. Oh, I like this. Yeah. No, I see it.
It looks like a moth, but
I know. Like I love that. I love how the petals also look like a moth. Like we talked about how the moths like eating the spores, but
yeah, and these are petals. Oh, sorry, these are petals, but these are leaves
Mm-hmm.
that look like, you know, the antennae,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
but they're actually two little
Thanks for
leaves.
drawing that. There's actually over on the Ironsworn Discord, some of the people have these like really elaborate notebooks that they've done with like such cool drawings to chart their progress. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Oh,
I've never done it, and I've always been
I
so
I
jealous.
doodle a lot.
Oh yeah, I've never been a doodler,
Oh,
but that's so cool.
this
No,
is very inspirational stuff here
it's
for
I
for
love
my artistic skills.
no, I love the look of that moth bust. That's fantastic. Um, so then yeah, unless you're like pushing your luck and going back on your word or anything, like you can get out of here without any further issue, and we can move on to something else. It's only if you're sticking around here to do anything else that we have any kind of cause for concern.
I just go back to
That little
my
like shelter
dwellings,
yeah,
my shack.
yeah, that dwelling that we talked about you making during
I built a
that
tiny cabin.
yeah little cabin. So yeah, back at home base. You've got 1 out of 3 ingredients, and or at least yes, yeah. You now have enough moth musk. Still need the body though, or not. I shouldn't call them a body because they're gonna have to be a living person. But you need the sacrifice. Um,
Yeah, I forget. Did we agree that the body needed to be alive or dead, or was that
um,
inconsequential, or?
let's find out now because I honestly can't remember. Because I like the important thing is like Flint just doesn't even have a body, so I don't think it necessarily has to be alive. Let's find out. This is something you would already know from the research we did last time. I just honestly can't remember if we ever asked it or not. So
I
you don't
think
need to
so.
you don't need to make a roll for this. This is part of that gather information that you did last time that got a strong hit, where you know the details. So let's see. Does the body need to be alive? Chat, this is a moment where I'm always good to have some input from you. When we roll for things like this, we like to, we do what's called Asking the Oracle. It's like that 50-50 roll down below, where we need to rate how likely something is. So the question is, we've got this big old ritual involving putting kind of this lost soul that she keeps in her necklace back in a body. We don't have a body of any kind right now. It's not going to be his own, because that's been fully lost. We need to know, does this body have to be like a living person at the time and like you just swap it in? We determined it couldn't be an animal. That I remember. We specifically asked about that and figured out it wouldn't work.
Oh,
That was one of the questions we did have. Um,
I forgot that.
yeah, me too. But then I was just watching it before I got started today. So does it have to be a living person? So I need to know, how likely do you think it is that the person needs to be living at the time? Almost certain, likely, 50-50, unlikely, or small chance? What are you thinking here? Like by default, we usually just go with 50-50 unless you have a like a reason to think it would be more or less than that. What do you think, Blake?
I always thought of it as they had to have be on the verge of death or have just died.
Right,
But
I had
like
always
the
been
chances.
I had always been thinking of it of like them like being alive at the time. Small chance because souls would fight over the body could be
It
bad.
was where death was imminent.
Okay.
Like they had a deadly wound, fatal wound.
Well, Wick says go small chance here, because the souls would fight over the body. Well, then let's roll it. So the question is, does the person have to be alive? Wick says small chance. Let's see. No, does not have to be a living body, but we still have to have what we mentioned before. They have to have had an emotional connection with Flint, like a strong emotional connection, and that continues to be like
How
that.
is that even going to be possible?
That continues to be the hard part. You got to find somebody that knew Flint pretty well in an important way. Now, Flint can help you with that. He's still speaking to you. We can together try and find out who that person might be. He's certainly got a wife, but that's a big ask, and also she's way back somewhere else.
He is looking for his son.
Yes, but the son has a similar problem. We don't know. We don't even know where he is. We've got some ideas, or Flint found out some ideas in some of the sessions where you weren't here, um, but yeah, that continues to be the big hitch: is strong emotional connection, either positive or negative, with Flint. So we can maybe try and find like the body of an enemy or something. Like he had a little bit of a like veteran style history before. Like he had seen some action before you two met. Um, the two of y'all, like if you're pondering over it with him in this shack, and that if that's the next thing you want to pursue, we can try and figure out a person.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Flint would obviously know himself and his own history. So I don't know if this is something that I would specifically need, or maybe maybe I do need to roll like how well he can remember off the fly, like a good candidate. Like this sounds like it might be a wits type thing, unfortunately. Um, to just have that personal insight into like who did I have strong emotional connections with that I'm willing to, like, he wouldn't be willing to be like, oh, just use my wife, it's fine, we'll just kill her. So he's definitely looking for the other side of it, as somebody that ideally is already dead, and but they just had a strong connection with. And ideally doesn't involve going all the way back to where we started, hometown-wise. Just trying to think out in this area. Like, last time he ventured out this far, this is kind of going to be a weird gather information, where he's like asking questions of himself to just try and remember well enough. But this one of the things in gather information is if you act within a community or ask questions of a person with whom you share a bond, add +1. Now, I feel like this kind of counts in this weird way we're using it. Like, he's asking questions of himself, like, about people whom he would share a bond with. So, like, I feel like this would count for that +1. It's in that territory. Like, it's a bit of a stretch. It's definitely not how this was initially intended to be used, but it's close enough that I think it's still within the, like, general intent of what that means. So we're going to roll wits with a +1 to see how well he can come up with a good person for this. And if it's a miss or something like that, it's not going to be that he can't come up with somebody, because that's boring. We don't want to put in a roadblock for this. It's more just going to be, the worse of a roll this is, the more complicated the answer is going to be of, like, who he can think of. So let's do that now. We've got wits with a +1. Hey, there we go. Strong hit. It can happen. Okay. So he's definitely got somebody in mind. Now we just as players need to figure out what that is, because I certainly don't know. I don't know that much of his history. So the path you must follow or action you must take to make progress is made clear. Envision what you learn, ask the Oracle of Unsure, and take +2 momentum. Hey! Oh, man! I guess that'll max out his momentum. He's already got 8. Whenever he gets back into a real body, he will be so set. Just so ready to, like, kick some ass and get into action. But let's go back to your sheet, because that'll be the more prominent one. So, yeah, we got some questions to ask the Oracle, kind of like last time. We need to figure out, like, who is this person that he would come up with and have a very solid idea? Somebody that would be out in this area that he would have shared a bond with. So whenever we meet them, we're going to pretend as if Flint has a bond with them, because he does.
Friend or foe? Because I thought it didn't.
Well, let's find out. That sounds like a good first question, and I think that's like I'd say, because he was trying to think of somebody that he didn't like, it's probably going to be a little bit more weighed towards foe, but it could be either one. Let's make that Oracle happen. So the question is was this person an enemy? And I'm rating it as likely, just because he was specifically trying to think of enemies. But it's not. He couldn't think of one. Maybe just nobody that was out in this area, and And which is good. I like the idea of like a little bit more of that conflict of like it's somebody that would still was a friend, and I because it's what I'm more interested in as a player, I'm just gonna de facto say I like the idea of them being still alive. I think they're older now and probably owe Flint some kind of big debt, like on the order of like a life debt. Um,
Yeah,
but
maybe.
like, and so like they're getting old and it's time to call it in. And like it's not the type of thing where it's like, yep, you owe me this, you have to give it to me right now. Like it's a big ask. You'd have to be some convincing, but I think this person will still be alive. But Flint saved their life at some point, and he thinks that they're old enough now that they might be ready to just pass on and repay that debt by giving Flint another chance. So let's find out a little bit more about them. First off, I want a name, and we have an oracle for that. So let's see. Let us get an Ironlander name. Naya. Oh man. Uh, I'm sure this sounds like a person that like uh, they probably have some kind of history to it that makes Flint's wife a little bit more uncomfortable. It's a good thing that they now live
Well, we
very
don't
far
know
apart.
if it's male or female.
We don't. It sounds like a more female name to me though. But we can certainly find that out. We can do a somewhat standard rolling a 3-sided die for male, female, or somewhere in between. Somewhere in between.
Whoa.
Naya is somebody who is probably a little bit more gender fluid, and just kind of depends on. It's not always the same answer, and we've got Naya is NB.
What if Naya is like one of those elvish?
I know, right? I was thinking about that. Um, yeah, one of the elf types he might have met along the way, um, or at least has like elven heritage or something like a uh, got a little bit of that like fey blood. I could roll with that, which might be all the more why you thought the body would respond well to this kind of magic ritual because there's kind of got the more magical sort of blood. Um,
But I thought the elves were supposed to be hostile in this
that is what we had determined, which is
adventure.
which was all the more why it seemed more likely that it would not be a full-on elf, but somebody who, like, maybe a little ways back,
Or it could
has...
be full on elf. It could just be maybe they had a reckoning in battle or something. Maybe they
Who
were in a
knows?
situation.
Yeah. Maybe it was
Maybe
somebody
they
that
were
was,
fighting each other.
yeah, maybe it was once an enemy but turned friend. When, in the heat of some manner of battle, Flint made a choice to, there was, like, some external force, like, on the lines of like a cave-in or something, like something that's not human that was threatening everybody, and in that moment, like Flint chose to save them as opposed to like when he didn't have to. Um, Maybe there's something like that that happened. I don't think we need to
I
know
like that.
all the details, but as a result of that, there's this hanging debt that that Naya always like really emphasized as being a big thing, and I don't think they like became like best of friends and got to know each other like over the years because Flint like Flint in those days was a little bit too much of like a traveler with this band of fighters or whatever they were doing. I've never really explored too much exactly what they got up to while they were on these trade routes, um, but I think for that time they then probably traveled together for at least a little bit, um, got to know each other a little bit more, and then parted ways. And Flint remembers that they were not like they were a good ride from here, but it wouldn't be it wouldn't be too long of a journey to reach back into that area where I once found Naya. And if we could find them, Naya does owe me a debt, and they always seem like somebody who would take that sort of thing very seriously and to their grave. If they're still alive, Naya might be the person to turn to.
Where would Naya be living?
I'm gonna roll up a region, and like a type of location. Figure out like whereabouts he would tell you to look for Naya. So let's see. Oh, that's right. So there's kind of like a core map to there's a core map to how like Ironsworn is if you follow the book exactly. I've never really considered ourselves beholden to that exact map though, which I just remembered that would be one of those things. So I'd rather than one of those official regions, I'm more interested in like a type of location. Let's see. A fort. That was unexpected. I guess. I guess there was some kind of like elven fort in an area where yeah, and
Maybe Flint was taken prisoner,
could be.
and then some natural disaster.
Yeah, like something happened.
He was at the fort.
Yeah, maybe Flint might have gone a little bit too close at one point back in the day to some protected areas, which gives us that looming danger of like, of course, you're heading to those areas, and they clearly, at least back then, didn't really like that. I want to know how long ago this was. I'm gonna roll a 10-sided die to figure out just like how many years ago was this, because that seems about right to me. Could be anywhere from like 1 to 10 years. How long ago was this? Yeah, on the long run, that was 9 years ago. So the fort may have changed a little bit since then, but I want to know like, so an elven fortress. I don't think that's the way we would ordinarily think of it. You know, like I keep picturing this like Civil War era kind of fort, but that doesn't feel right for an elven fortress at all.
I'm picturing that too.
I feel like a lot.
So it's on some islands, right?
Well, I was ignoring that because I forgot when I did region, I forgot what exactly that meant. That wasn't what I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think it has to be on islands.
I imagine it being. I'm just thinking Lord of the Rings in like some deep wooded area.
Yeah, at the very least, I think it's very like it's definitely very hidden. Like it's less of a fortress designed to like, you know, look impressive and look very defensible, and their main defense is like you don't notice it to begin with. But let's see. So what kind of gonna roll up some more like location descriptors to get a better sense of like what is this fort like? Where might it be? Oh wait, these are things for like how to describe a town, which is not what I'm looking for. I just want to see. I'm gonna roll up like another location to see like what kind of area is this fort in. A mine. That's not exactly what I need. I'm looking for like a land type. Waste. Ooh.
That doesn't sound very elvish.
I know, right? This may be one where the oracles aren't going to be as good of it. We may just need to come up with something, rather than random chances feeling a little bit too random right now. Sometimes that's good, and we can roll with it. But right now, yeah, I'm sure, you know, secluded in some deep woods and like treetop sort of thing. Like it's high up off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they've got like an Ewok village kind of thing going on here.
Maybe it's just hidden under some kind of spell.
Maybe there was if we're trying to make sense of that waste a little bit more, maybe part of that disaster that happened was a big fire. And so there's parts of this woods that have, like, even 9 years later, have still never fully recovered. Like, something about the magic that was going on here. There's just, like, areas of this woods that are just still blackened and, like, feel very dead. Yeah, just this charred area from, I think, an unnatural fire that broke out. and that's why it's never recovered. Like,
So maybe it just like has like really tall but just completely blackened
yeah, and
pines.
they're still making the best of it, but like the way I'm seeing it right now, and there's this whole story that Flint is telling you right now about it. It's a shame it doesn't have the storyteller asset. I might have to look into getting that at some point. He's telling you the whole story of what happened here, and he mentions how um, when I was prisoner there was a one of one of the people in the fort was doing some experiments on some new kind of defensive capability, but unfortunately their magic went awry, and it burst into this horrible seeking flame that went all throughout the fortress and the forest around. It swept up far quicker than any fire I've ever imagined.
I wonder if Muko had anything to do.
Hey, not every magical disaster has to be Muko.
Sounds like Muko's
It,
work.
it sounds like it.
Maybe
it's
somebody
what-
who worked under Muko or was like an apprentice.
I was fortunate in the way that I was fortunate that the fire weakened just the right areas to allow me to escape from my cell, but on the way out, I found Naya trapped beneath some burning wreckage, and I couldn't find it in me to just let anybody die that way. I figured I could at least pull them out and give them a chance to escape. Fire is a horrible, cruel death. So I did. I burned myself pretty greatly doing it, but managed to help lift off what was trapping them. Some scaffolding or something, I can't recall. And they followed me out of the woods. They helped me find a path that would get out quickly. And they let me go. But not before promising a debt. Saying that I had truly saved their life when I had no cause to do so. And they would never forget it. We traveled for a little while, a few weeks on the road before we could get ourselves properly provisioned and go our separate ways. Naya was going to be heading to another community to find help to help restore what was burned. They never did tell me exactly where that was. That was still too secret. But the way they talked about it, the plan was to come back. So if we can get back to where that fort was, they may have been able to find a life there again. Or at the very least, somebody who knew Naya might still be around, can point you in the right direction.
Well, let's try and find this forest. This fortress.
I warn you, of course, that the elves are very particular about their home. They don't like outsiders, and they're very quick to act harshly to them. I never really had enough time to learn their actual ways and how to keep them pleased. So, I warn you, they will not likely be too happy about your arrival. I would recommend that whatever you do, you be forthright with them. Don't try and sneak around. They'll find you. Trust me. Openly approach them, and maybe they'll let you in.
I think I can handle that.
But I'm telling you now, they won't be happy that you found them. Secrecy is big with them.
Well, good thing I have you to help me.
I'm just saying that I barely helped myself. I hope I can help you better. So yeah. If you want to undertake a journey to this place, like he could definitely lead you to where the forest is. Like he knows, especially with that strong hit. Like he knows where to tell you to go. We would just have to take a journey to get there.
Road trip.
Road trip indeed.
I grab my trusty speed.
Now, the point of this was that it wasn't going... He was thinking of somebody who wouldn't be too far away. So, honestly, I think that this journey could be just, like, troublesome. I'm not all that interested in making the road to the Elven place be all that big of a deal. Like, I don't think it needs that much screen time. I'd rather just get there.
Yeah.
So, let's just set this as troublesome. Get you there nice and quick. And, find out what happens when you get there.
Yeah, it's gonna be challenging enough.
Exactly.
Encounter these.
Exactly my thinking. The road is not what I'm interested in being the challenging part. It's all about what happens when you get there. So, making vow number 4, just be journey to the Elven Fortress. And so, since it is indeed a fort, like, I definitely want to keep that in mind when we get there, that, like, there's some manner... Like, it's not just, like, an elfin community. Like, this is something that they're... Of some kind of value that they're protecting. And there's kind of a little bit of a military vibe here. For whatever that means for elves. I wonder what it is. And I don't think Flint knows. I think he knows it's a fortress, and he knows he was there, but never got to know the place well enough to know, like, why there and what's special about it that they would want to protect. Like, obviously, any place you build a fort has some kind of tactical value. There's something about it that makes this place special. But I don't know what that is.
I have an idea.
Oh, yeah? What are you thinking? Like, I don't think either of us know, but I'm curious what you're thinking.
I'm thinking that they have some kind of powerful device or object that is used to somehow manipulate the obelisks.
Oh, okay. That could be interesting. Yeah, maybe. We'll see if...
with the obelisks.
I definitely...
In a, maybe a meddling kind of...
I would love if Grae can turn this situation into also learning a little bit more about the obelisks. As part of that vow, I will uncover the mystery of the glowing obelisks. Maybe the elves, if they're indeed involved like that with the fortress, maybe you can learn something from this. And that would be a fantastic way to multitask and keep working on your vows. I recommend it. I like that idea. So...
Anyway, I suspect that about them.
Yeah.
They haven't been on the best terms with everyone else.
It's true. And if anybody has to do with these weird obelisks that are seemingly very deadly and very magical, elves seem more likely to have some kind of hand in it than anyone else. So, let's start this journey. As always, you are a wayfinder, but that'll only help you if you need to burn momentum. And right now, that is basically impossible for that to qualify. It's a little too low right now. But there is... I feel like if you want to... I'm going to try and help you out on this, though, since, like, I know the way. I'm going to try and make a move as Flint to give you a bonus on this. I'm going to make the... There's a... What is it? Aid your ally move. It's a secure an advantage in direct support of an ally. So... This would be another wits one, really, unfortunately. But I'm going to try and tell you where... the direction to go and, like, help you plot that journey. And let's see if I can help you out with this. I think at worst, it's just you'll be back where you were. But I might be able to make it a little bit better. Okay, well, I got a weak hit, and that is something. I think that is the one where it's like, your advantage is short-lived. Take +1... Yeah, okay. Your advantage is short-lived. Take +1 momentum. So there you go. It's something. You now have a slightly higher chance of burning your momentum. It's still very unlikely, but I tried. I was, like, going over the details of, like, roughly where it was, but it's been 9 years. It's a little bit hazy. He's struggling a little bit. some of it is a lot. It's so visual. It's like I'll know it when we see it. Like when we, it'll come back to me. But it's hard to remember exactly how to describe it from here. So, undertaking a journey. That is also a wits roll. Oh right, this is going to be. Oh wait, right. You're awesome with wits now. Right, that was one of your good ones. Never mind. So wits is a +3 for you. Let's see how you take this journey. You are ideally going to be much better at reaching locations now.
Yeah.
Let's see if the dice agree. And they do. Starting off with a strong hit. Nicely done. They can have so much green today. Alright, so you'll reach a waypoint. And that means you're going to make 3 progress on this. Already off to a good start. On a strong hit, you get to choose one of these. Either you make good use of your resources and just mark progress, or you can mark progress and take a momentum, but you'll lose a supply to do that because you have to like really go at speed and like you're burning through your resources to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is that what you want to do to build
Yeah.
that momentum? Okay, then let's do that for you. Nice. Which, hey, probably a good idea. Like, as much of an opportunity as you can have to build up this momentum before you talk to the elves. Not a bad choice. If all it means is you gotta eat through some of your crusty bread to do it, that's probably a good call. Drink some more tea.
Like penny whistle music.
That's the ice cream trucks outside, I think.
Oh.
Is it is it turkey in a straw?
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I heard was just the high pitch part.
Oh, okay. It was weird actually. The other day, I was so intrigued. I heard an ice cream truck jingle that was like not one of the ones they usually do, and I was like, "Oh, new music!" And then
Somebody got sick of the traditional stuff.
yeah, well, it's clearly back to it. Then I caught myself. I was like, "Why am I getting excited over ice cream truck music? It's still ice cream truck music. It doesn't matter if it's different."
It's still crap.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's give you that progress. Boom, boom, boom. So you reach a waypoint. I don't know. It's a spot. Unless something important here happens, I don't know that we need to know what each of these waypoints are. We can just keep going. Let's just breeze through this. You find a spot to stop. It's a place. Nothing really happens of interest. This is kind of a more mechanical part. Unless we really are interested in the journey, but it sounded like we both agreed that's not the important bit here. So let's just get you another roll here. Ooh, this one actually is a miss. This one we're gonna have to focus in on a little bit. Sadly, have a miss, and barely. It was almost a weak hit, and you were almost able to burn momentum for it. Not that I think you necessarily should. So let's see. On a miss, you are waylaid by a perilous event. So first off, we should find out, I guess, where are we? Because that's going to definitely inform, like, what kind of event is this? And no matter what, I'm making a vow right here, and I intend to fulfill it. Whatever happens here, this event will not involve a fight, okay? Something else is going to happen. Nothing. It'll be perilous. It will not be a fight. And let's remember, we're still in winter times here. So that's always informative. So it could be as easy as another one of them, storms coming in. Though I'd like to, again, come up with something new. Keep it fresh. So let's find out, what kind of place is this when you get into a perilous event? Mountain. Okay, so we're still like, which kind of makes sense because we were still kind of passing out of some mountains when we were in Black Falls because they were like high up above that ridge. So I guess you'd be nearish by like still like I don't think it's a huge mountain, but it's still like hills and cliffside. So
Maybe
we could definitely have like a rock slide or something.
An avalanche?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
The snow?
Because you were indeed you were making haste through it and using supplies, maybe going a little bit too quickly, made a little too much noise, or made some too many tremors, and it turned out that
Okay.
it was a little bit.
Like going over the ridge of a mountain
Yeah,
instead of around it.
exactly. Yeah, so I like that idea. So there's you can hear that rumbling freight sounds in the distance, and you look up in time to see there is an avalanche a coming, and there is.
Down.
Yeah, there is not a lot of time to prepare for it, and and physically you do not have a lot of capabilities. So, what is your plan to try and avoid this being a big problem?
I want to just. Is there like no way of escaping it? Is it gonna hit?
Oh, I mean, this is your moment to try and maybe find a way to escape it. Like maybe you might be able to find a good spot to take shelter or something.
Okay, I want to look around and see if there's any
Yeah.
large object like a rock.
Yeah, just like crouch behind.
To hide behind.
Okay, let's do that as secure an advantage with wits to see like can you find a good spot, and then that'll set you up for the like face danger of getting there in time. So secure an advantage with wits. Let me just check something real quick. Actually, I just realized something. You should have had a weak hit on this, not a miss. I just checked the math because I was like, wait a minute, because I was curious about this. I was like, you had a 4 on Undertake a Journey, and it didn't make the box red. You have a +3, so like that should have been a minimum roll. It was only adding 2 on both of these, actually. Apparently, I don't have it updated on here to say that you have 3 wits, so you should actually have made a weak hit on this. So we can potentially skip this. I had there's a niggling feeling that there's something wrong here. Let me fix your sheet.
Explain that again?
So this should have been a 5 instead of a 4 because your wits is +3, not +2.
Okay.
So it would have been higher than 4, lower than 6. So it's a better result. Let me
I wasn't paying attention.
Let me.
I trust your math usually.
I know I didn't update your sheet with the battle scarred thing, or I did, but like I tried to, but apparently didn't take. Your wits was not updated. There we go. Now that shouldn't happen again.
Grae's wits are better than mine because I didn't catch that.
No worries. I don't think that would have changed the outcome of anything else, though. We haven't done a lot of rolls, and yeah, this one was a strong hit, so it couldn't have gotten any better. And yeah, I think we're all good.
That's what
So
that's what caused the avalanche, right?
The miss, yeah. So let's see on a weak hit, which is what it was instead. You reach a waypoint and mark progress, but suffer -1 supply. Okay, so same thing as before. You just don't get the momentum this time. So continuing to move through your supply, but you're most of the way there. So apparently this time
there was no avalanche.
you were able to get through the mountain
disappears.
without causing it. We can retcon that a little bit, since you never would have had that.
I'm excited about facing this avalanche.
Well, then we can imagine in your mind that there along the way there was this avalanche that you were able to
Maybe
just
there was a
get
mini
through
one,
fine.
but it just wasn't a threat.
By the time it got down to you, it was just like there's just nothing left.
Tumbles.
Yeah, just
snowballs.
Exactly. Somehow it did the opposite of an avalanche and got less powerful the longer it went on. I don't know how that happened, but magic.
It was a visual show.
It was a backwards avalanche. It was going up the mountain.
Ah,
Somebody held reverse on their VCR.
hold on. Unplugged it from- Hello?
Hey,
Oh, wait. Hello?
yo.
Oh.
All right. I was just being dumb and saying it was a backwards avalanche going up the mountain.
You're like, that's strange.
So yeah, you've got 6 progress, and so we're starting to get a long ways there. In theory, you've even got decent odds to finish the journey now, but with stats like yours, you might as well just kind of take another spin. Um, so ate through a little bit more of your rations. I think we're probably at this point representing like it's probably been a couple of days travel, um, but you're getting pretty close. Like you're down the mountains now into where we're starting to get trees again, and snow covered trees, of course. But they reach up probably higher than you like. You're kind of a outdoorsy sort of person. With your herbalism and your wayfinding, you're familiar with what things should be like. I imagine you off in the distance, kind of looking down from the mountainside, you see that there is a forest that, based on its elevation, like you would not expect it to be as tall as it is, but it is rather tall. Some like high canopies, like you would imagine in like a rainforest. Um, like I otherwise think it's made of like coniferous trees and stuff, but
Is it taller than the redwoods?
I think it's at least like on that order of like it's like the redwoods, and just you wouldn't expect it this high up, and it's like completely covered in snow, and you can see in the distance like it's still a good travel away, but that's got to be the spot.
So it's probably unlike anything I've ever seen.
I think so.
I would be marveling at it. Just whoa.
Yeah, I think we just have this like view of like this huge expanding vista that goes on like. I imagine this forest is really huge too, so part of it is not only getting there, but getting to the right spot of it. Like, you're seeing from up high, and this forest just goes on for just, it's just miles and miles and miles wide. Like, you can't really see the edges right now. It just...
I imagine, like, some of it is still intact.
Yeah.
Not...
Oh, totally. The whole thing isn't blackened. I imagine that more just the spot that they're in. But thankfully, that'll help you find the right spot. Like, once you start seeing blackened trees... then you'll know you're on the right path. Because otherwise this place is huge. But you see the forest itself now.
Which way do we go? This forest is huge.
Yeah. He'd be trying to remember like what happened last time when he got caught. And it's like, well, I never strayed.
Staring.
Well, I remember what happened was originally I had been on it's like, do you see that, like points, it tells you to look in a certain direction. You see that road there off towards the east or whatever? Very faintly in the distance, you see that kind of, there's that spot where there's, you might notice the trees thin a little bit. That's actually a road.
Yeah.
There's a path that leads through there. That's what I was traveling at the time. And I don't recall going all that far from it. I was going out to try and just seek provisions for us, and I got a little bit lost while I was in there. It's the type of place that does that to you pretty easily. I don't think I got far from that road, but wherever I wound up, it was not a place they wanted me to be. I'll be honest with you, I don't think everything is quite as it seems in this forest. I think this is the type of place where your mind will play tricks on you on exactly how far you've gone. But I'd start...
Why did you go alone?
I didn't know. It seemed fine to me. I didn't know it was anything different. Flint is also only wits 1. It all seemed fine to me. I just thought that we were running low on supplies and everybody was doing their part in making camp. But I got turned around. So it's gonna take all of your cunning to keep track of where you've been once you get off that road. Make very careful marks, but don't change the landscape. They don't like that. You're gonna have to. He's like struggling to. He knows like he's giving you all these like different things that like compete against each other. He's like, you can't leave markings. You can't. Don't move the rocks. You'll have to find some way to keep track of where you've been without changing anything, or they'll imprison you like they did me.
Wow, that sounds like they're really picky.
It's their place. They like it the way it is, and they don't like outsiders imposing their will on it. I don't know if they were. Maybe he was joking, but I remember a guard at one point saying that they were gonna find out how many twigs I had stepped on while I was there. Find out
Oh my gosh.
how many pieces of wood I had broken in my trespassing.
I've come across these really
I have to
strict civilizations.
I have to hope that he was just giving me a hard time, that they wouldn't possibly know, but honestly, I have no idea. Just be careful. They tend to this grove, and it's important to them. So, yeah, with that in mind, maybe it's make this last little bit of the journey. I think it would probably indicate the given how much progress you've made, I think this is like you've managed to get down to that road. You're following it, and like now it's time to like enter the woods itself and try and find the actual fortress. Or maybe it's yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way to indicate this, because like we're gonna do this journey and we're going to and then we're gonna find out how well it went for you. So there's like ideally one more waypoint along the way, and then a roll to find out whether or not you found the fortress. So like that waypoint could be. I think the next waypoint is finding blackened trees. Like, can you find that part of the woods? So let's see.
He said he headed east on the road.
Oh, the road was out to the east, and like I think we can easily have you like you get down there and you start from the road and head into the woods. And then it's just we can roll the dice to see how long it takes you to find this section where the fort might be.
Well, does he remember whether he went left or right?
I have no idea at this point. It's been too many years.
That's not helpful.
Yeah, well, you tell me which direction you went 9 years ago. It'll be like it'll all just be wrapped up in the roll anyway. Like Grae will look around, and you're a smart person. You'll eventually.
Yeah, I'm a wayfinder.
Yeah.
I will.
You'll find your way.
Use my skills to find which direction the charred trees would probably.
Get like a scent in the air or something. Something will help you find your way. I'm sure that Grae has some skills that having skills that we don't have will have some kind of thing to be looking for to try and determine like how the rest of the wildlife is reacting, and like because you'd imagine they'd be more avoidant of it, and things the way the forest has reacted in response to blackened trees. I do like the idea though that like because everything is covered in snow right now, you couldn't just like see where the trees were from the distance because everything just looked white. Undertake a journey.
I'm only getting sound on one side of my headphones.
It sounds like it might not be fully plugged in then. I've had that before where like
I've been messing around with it while you've been talking, and I'm just like, it's.
Oh, weird. I don't know.
I've had that problem on and off for a while. It's just.
Gotcha.
Broken.
Uh-oh. Okay. This one is indeed taking your stats correctly, and even if it weren't, like, it is actually a miss. The challenge dice were just really high. So this is when you're in the forest. Something goes wrong here. Now, I don't want it to be that you're just spotted by the Elven party, because that'll basically get you what you want anyway, in a bad sense, but, like, you'll find them. Something else unrelated has to happen. Something about just native to the forests.
Maybe something that lives in the forest.
That's what I'm thinking.
Some
like
kind of animal.
I was imagining like a giant spider overhead that like wants to bring you into its web. But I also again want it to not be
Does it have any spiders?
It doesn't have to be.
Like a just an oversized rat.
I I or it could also be because another classic forest trope is like accidentally following like a will-o'-the-wisp, and like as it gets dusky out there, like there's just an intriguing light that's pulsating that looks almost like a firefly. It's just like this glowing orb that's moving along, and it's like magically tantalizing.
I like that. Maybe it lures me to like some kind of trap.
Exactly.
Like,
Well, classically,
quicksand.
ooh, I like that. Classically, that's what they do. They following a will-o'-the-wisp will lead to your peril. They're meant to lead you off the path, get you lost, and yeah, potentially to your doom. So I think that's what happens here. Is
Swamp.
it turns you around into a swampier part where the ground is given way, and let's go with like a quicksand type.
Really quicksand type.
And like once you start sinking into it, the light just like winks out, and you can't. It's gone. It's done its job. It's off.
Just reaching for it, and just as my fingers almost touch it.
Exactly. It winks out, and like, and it's like only when it winks out that you realize like, oh shit, I'm already like waist deep in this. Like
Like,
it was like
where
so
am I?
magically captivating you that you had no awareness of this until it's almost too late.
I kind of imagine Flint the whole time was just like, Grae, stop it.
Like I was,
Follow that. Oh, Grae.
but like you couldn't hear him at the time. Like it was like drowning out the.
Entranced.
It was exactly. You basically had stars in your eyes, and he couldn't get through anymore. And so like by the time you come to, there's this like it's almost like he's yelling in your head like, Grae, you have to get out of there.
Yeah, maybe
Find a brand, Grae, and we have like the kind of like a flashbang went off like, and like it becomes less and less muffled like, Grae, you have to get out, Grae.
Yeah.
And you
oh my god,
you come to, and you're like waist deep in this thick, sucking, swampy sort of quicksand in the forest. And
I start panicking. I start flailing. I've never been in quicksand, and I just start hyperventilating.
Alright, I'm gonna try, and Flint, since he's not physically there, has a little bit more of an ability to stay calm because it's not his body in peril. So he's gonna try and help you with that, and gonna give you a like aid your ally, whatever it's called. Yeah, aid your ally. I'm gonna try and secure an advantage to calm you down with just with my heart. I'm gonna use my loyalty and courage to try and get you to just recognize that panic is your enemy here. You need to calm yourself. You will get out of this. It'll be okay, but you have to calm down. The more you struggle, the more you're just gonna make yourself tired. You're gonna get out of this, but just breathe. It's okay. So I will secure that advantage and see if I can help you out. Okay, well, a weak hit, so that'll give you +1 momentum, which is now starting to build up pretty decently. You've got it up to a 5. That's something.
Okay. So I calm down a bit.
At least a little bit. Obviously it's hard, and every moment you're sinking more, so like that window of non-panic is going to close shortly if you can't turn it into something. But there's a moment where you're heeding that word, and you can maybe find a way out of this. Find something to grab onto, or like
Is Flint still talking me out of it? Like once I've calmed down.
You can certainly try. But like in terms of coming up with a good plan, like your wits are way better than his are. So you'd be more likely to help yourself than he would be to help you. In terms of specifically what to do. Now, in terms of what I'm thinking of as a player, I'm just imagining, like, a couple of possibilities here. There's, like, you could certainly just find some like, route or something in reach to manage to, like, barely reach and, like, start pulling yourself out on. Or maybe, like, maybe in your pack you could get, like, some rope and, like, manage to quickly tie a lasso type thing and hoist it on a rock, or like couple of
I
possibilities.
like the idea of a root being nearby.
Okay. I think you might be able to.
Vine.
If
There's
you,
something.
I think if you use some wits, you might be able to find a good thing to grab onto.
Yeah, let me.
Then
let's roll
let's
some wits.
let's secure an advantage with them tasty wits. See if you can find a good spot, because otherwise it's just going to be having to like muscle your way out of here somehow. It's not going to be easy. Oh no! Even your wits
No.
failed you this time. The challenge dice were too high. Apparently, this will o' the wisp is very purposeful in it leading you right into the middle of this. Like you, it's not that there aren't roots; it's that you're too far from the edge right now to grab one. Like you'd have to get closer to the edge before you could grab anything. It led you so far in to this mucky patch. So
I'm.
on a miss, yeah, your assumptions betray you. The assumption being that there would be something to grab, and yeah, you're too far inward.
Okay.
So what do you do with this this moment? Slowly sinking down,
I should start
seemingly
screaming
having to
for
rely
help.
on. Oh,
I think I start panicking again.
screaming for help might that could work if that's like facing danger with heart to be like basically assuming that hopefully there's somebody in earshot that can in these woods that can help you. Maybe.
Maybe Flint doesn't like it, but I'm just.
Oh, definitely not. But
Gonna start screaming.
yeah, I like it. That is an interesting solution to this, but let's go with it. So screaming for help. So I guess what we need to know is we need to ask the Oracle, is there anybody who can hear you? Because if not, then there's no amount of screaming you could do that would help you here, obviously. If nobody can hear you. But I want there to be somebody to hear you because I like that solution. So I'm gonna put my thumb on the scale of this a little bit and say push it to likely instead of 50-50 because like I hope so. I want you to meet somebody out here. Let's see. Ask the Oracle. We're gonna put it as is there somebody out here who can hear you? I'm putting it at likely. Yes. Okay. Somebody out here can potentially hear you. So now I guess let's do a compel roll to see like how well can you sell this like pleading, desperate cries for help to get somebody to come over and try and help you. Now, thankfully, your heart of 4 means this is something you do very well. You can definitely sound like somebody in need of help and make them feel like they nobly should. So let's see. Unless the dice really hate you, I imagine this will go well. That's the tagline for this game. Compel with heart. Oh yeah. You rolled the best you possibly could, beating out even that 9 challenge die. Just, you compelled the best from getting a full-on strong hit. That 9 tried to defy you, but you said no. And had you not had your battle scarred bump to heart, you would have only had a weak hit here. But this latest change in exactly how you're statted out has put you over the top, giving you a 10. Nicely done. So yeah, somebody hears you and is compelled to come try and help you. So you're going to take +1 momentum, and presumably they're going to come over and somebody is going to like toss you a rope or something. Now we need to find out what type of person is this. I think that they're either an elf or a human of some kind. And we should find out which. It might not be. I could definitely see this as just another traveler who has gotten a little bit far from the road. So that's the first question. What race is this person? Are they of the Fey blood, or are they mundanely human. And let's see. So the question is, are they an elf? And honestly, I think I put that as unlikely, just because they're so secretive here and are less liking of intruders. I think an elf would be less likely to be the type of person who would come over to help you. They'd be like, oh, another human being taken by the forest, as it should be. So I think it's more likely that this is just some other human who is traveling through the area. Let's see.
That would be interesting.
So yeah, it's not an elf, so some kind of human. Let's see. What kind of person is this? Gonna roll their character roll. A mercenary. Oh, well, no wonder they helped you. They're like, you're gonna pay me. So,
what do I get out of this?
Yeah. So, that's amazing, actually. So they haven't tossed you the rope yet. They've got the rope. They're standing by the edge, and they're gonna leverage this opportunity. No mercenary would toss you the rope until you agree. Like,
but I don't know they're a mercenary, but
you don't. And granted, you did succeed with a strong hit on the compel, so like, okay, yeah, because you got the strong hit, I think they've already tossed you the rope. They'll just be they'll be asking for something after the fact. But yeah, if you'd had a weak hit, that would have made more sense. But I need to give you the actual, like, you had the best result. I can't just have you need to make another roll now. That's not being fair to the rules. But they are a mercenary, otherwise. Let's see, what's their goal? Apart from you, what are they trying to accomplish here? Harm a rival. It sounds like they have some beef with the elves here, too.
That's what I was thinking, and then it just chose that.
Yeah, so somewhere here there's a rival. Actually, I want to know, is the rival an elf or a human? That one I think is more like 50-50. Because maybe the rival is just like they're on their way to it or whatever. It's not necessarily in this location. So, yeah. Is the rival an elf? No. Alright, they don't care about the elves. They just happen to be here. But their current motivation is to harm a rival, which means they're probably not on a job right now, because it's their rival, not... Well, I guess it could be somebody else's rival. They could be being paid to just do harm to a rival. Let's go with that. It's not personal for them. It's business. It's not an elf, though, yeah. They're in the area, probably on the way to somewhere else. Let's get some descriptors. Disabled. Okay. I think this person has got, like... They've, I think, like, their offhand is probably, like, lopped off at the elbow or something. They've had a hard life. It's fully healed. It was a long time ago. But, so I think they've gotten used to it. But this mercenary... Also, yeah, the image of them helping you out with the rope is probably, it's tricky for them, because they're trying... They must be pretty strong, because, like, they're helping pull you out with only the one arm. And it was successful. So I think what they've got left is a pretty beefy, strong arm, and they can accomplish quite a bit with it, but the other one, yeah, got lopped off. I want another descriptor, though. Armored, okay, that makes sense. They're a mercenary. They're ready for action. And ambitious. All right, yeah. I think it's that ambition that kept them going in this lifestyle even after losing... let's go with, like, it would even used to be their dominant hands, but they're so ambitious that they then just train the sword with or whatever they use. Whatever weapon they use in their mercenary work, they just went back at it with the non-dominant hand until they got it down. Never played it before. So this is a fantastic game. I'll talk a little bit more when we wrap up. But it's called Ironsworn. I would recommend looking into it. So yeah, this just ambitious mercenary. Let's get a name for them. Oh, and let's do our role of gender. Okay, well, based on the way I did those categories before, this guy's a guy. and but goes by Melia. And okay, so Melia, the ambitious, armored, but disabled mercenary, tugs you out of there as you instinctively grab onto that rope as soon as it's available, and I imagine a little bit of a panic. Clutching to it for dear life, he trawls you out of the muck. A lot of it comes with you. It's all over your clothes. And Melia says, "Good gracious, how did you wind up in there?"
There was this light, and I don't know. I just remember I couldn't look away from it. The next thing I knew, I was stuck in mud.
Light. Huh. I don't think they're. Let's find out. I'm gonna do one more oracle roll to find out. Like, does this person have any idea that this forest is anything but a regular forest, or like are they familiar with?
I do. Yeah.
Let's find out. I don't know.
I don't know it.
Like, does he have this indication? Like, oh yeah, like a will-o'-the-wisp. You got to watch out on those, or would he be utterly confused by?
I was about to ask.
Yeah. Let's see. I think again, like 50-50. I don't see any reason to move it one side or the other. Like, maybe they know, maybe they don't. So does Melia know that there's something more magical going on in this forest? Or, yeah. No. It's just a regular forest to him. So yeah, he's more confused by that idea. Just like, light. Are you sure you've been hydrating enough? The road is long and weary. Why don't you sit down? You can't burn the candle at both ends.
So you're not familiar with this forest, I take it?
And this in particular, he looks around a little bit. Can't say I've passed through before. No, it's first time. You're lucky I heard you. That looks wide and deep. He starts I think he's generally kind unless you're being paid to be unless he's being paid to consider you his enemy, I think he's generally kind. So he helps pull up a stump or something, a log for you to sit on while he let's see. Now, he wouldn't offer you his provisions because again, he's on the clock and he's only got so much, but I think he'd is pacing around a little bit while you're sitting there, saying I think I spotted a. You should probably drink some water if you're out. I think I remember spotting a source of water, some clean water back. Was it? I'll be honest, actually. Can't remember exactly.
Because I am totally turned around.
I think I hate to admit it, but I think I am, yeah. I could have sworn that there was a... But it's not... Yeah, he's clearly...
So maybe this forest changes.
Maybe.
And maybe that's a joke that the elves were making the whole time. To we don't like anything.
Oh, yeah. Nothing to change.
Place,
yeah.
Because the joke is everything's always out of place.
Yeah, I like that. It's constantly shifting around.
Inside joke with the elves.
Yes, he's clearly turned around. Everything in his body language. It's huh. And he takes a seat himself. I don't suppose you know the way back to the road.
I am completely turned around at this point between the glowy light thing and the panicking in the mud. I don't know. Plus, I could have swore there was a rock right over there, and there's no rock now.
But it wasn't a rock. It was a rock lobster.
It was a rock.
Well, I tell you what. I think that it's probably best that we Until we can find our way together, two heads are probably better than one, yeah?
I would agree to that. Where are
Melia.
you headed?
Like, sticks out a hand. Melia.
Great.
You from around here?
Definitely not. I'm on a mission to find the obelisks. Where are you headed?
Oh, I'm off doing some dirty work. As is all too often the case, but hey, keeps me fed. The obelisks. Aren't those kind of a dangerous place to be headed, don't you think? What brings you there?
Why do you say that?
Oh, just all the stories.
I am Ironsworn to figure out why they started glowing.
Ironsworn, huh? That was always a little bit too formal for me. Sure, I'll take a job and I'll do my best to do it, but I'm not going to put my soul on the line putting it in the hands of iron or anything. I'd rather just stick to my word, thank you.
Well, it wasn't 100% my decision, but it's something to do.
He's like looking all around him. So what's our play here?
Well,
Choose a direction and just see where it goes?
well, we're looking for some charred trees.
We? Did you lose someone out here?
Oh, yeah.
Let's have you roll some shadow to see if he I don't think it's like there's no like big consequence. He's not gonna like draw a sword if he knows you're lying, but let's see whether or not he can see through that and be like, there is definitely more here than what she's letting on.
I'm very protective over my necklace, like, and who knows about it.
You
It's
are.
just
So let's see.
in the wrong hands.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like just a we'll do this as a shadow compel. You're basically compelling him to believe you that that's all there is, and we'll see whether or not that's the case. So make a compel move. I love when little slip ups like that happen. It adds that little layer and it feels realistic.
Yeah.
Let's see. So shadow compel. Oh yeah, that's a miss. So I'm not gonna do any of the like they refuse or make a demand which costs you greatly. Like you're not gonna pay the price on this. This is mostly just a curiosity. But the price is, I mean, the him refusing is he refuses to believe that that's all there is to it. He's not gonna make a deal out of it right now. But like we can see in his eyes, like she may not be willing to talk about it right now, but there's more to this story. Like,
Well, maybe he does just pry.
okay, what was the?
As
I forget. What was the answer you gave?
I said we got separated.
Okay, yeah, that
A friend and
yeah,
mine.
that you got separated. Okay.
Did you happen to see another person? No. Oh, that sucks.
I really didn't, but I'm gonna tell you, I've made it this far with only this much to show for you. Like shows his lopped off arm. Only this much to show for it because I feel like I've usually got a pretty good knack for when I'm not being given the full story. I'm not saying you have to, but obviously we just met each other, but if you don't want to talk about your companion, you can just say so.
Yeah.
All I know is whatever's going on there, you didn't just get separated. Did you have a fight? It's like I don't think he has any idea what the truth is. Like the real story is way too far-fetched for him to just guess. But he knows there's more to it than what you're saying. Is all he really knows. Did you have a
I'll
fight?
just say, no, we didn't fight. My friend is not completely here, but he is.
You should definitely have some water.
Yeah, can I please have some water?
You, well, I imagine like you would certainly have some in your supply, unless you specifically want his.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I
you,
just grabbed
yeah,
my canteen.
yeah, like you definitely have some.
Awesome.
You're prepared for the road.
That's a good idea. I take a swig.
All right.
By the way, you wouldn't happen to have seen any charred trees in your wanderings?
Ooh, let's see. Maybe he has. Also, before I forget, I want to remember we're using that learn from failure track that we have below. I forgot to give you every time you get a miss, we need to give you a tick. So I believe, let's see, 1, 2. That one went away.
Was that always a thing?
No, we just started implementing that last time, as you recall. That was a new thing when we put it in with the with also that like I forget what it's called, but the like now that you're up against kind of a clock on that one vow, like there's a couple of new features from Delve that we're implementing. Okay. But I believe you have 3 failures on here that we can tick up. So let me give you that real quick before I forget. So that means this one is now a full box. One sec. Boom. Okay. Sorry, what were you saying after the water?
Thanks for the suggestion, by the way.
Oh, right, you're asking about the black trees. That's right.
Yeah, the black trees.
Yeah. Let's see. Has he encountered any black trees here? I sure hope he has, because I like that development. Ooh, I could use some too, but it's in the other room. I'm not just gonna drink lime juice. That seems like not quite as satisfying. Why don't we put it as, like, unlikely, just because it's such a huge forest, but he may have. So, has he encountered any of the black trees? No. Sadly, it's a big place. Black tree, well, honestly, most of the trees here have looked just covered in snow. I haven't really paid much attention to their color underneath. Why? What's going on?
Forgetting there's snow. I was not imagining this place being.
What's the deal with the black trees?
Light snow.
Yeah.
It's just where we're headed. I'm headed.
You're an odd one. Grae, you said?
Yeah.
You're an odd one,
and
but
you are...
Melia.
No.
But I do believe that we can find our way back to the road. Assuming that's where you want to go.
Yeah. That probably would be best.
Well...
But you said he didn't see charge?
He is not. Or if he did, they were covered enough in snow that he wasn't aware of them. Either way, he has not seen any to point you towards. Of course, even if he had, if this place is shifting around, then he's as lost as he is. ... So, yeah, but I think we've played out this scene enough that if you want, like, we can certainly just do another undertake a journey roll to represent the kind of montage of, like, as you just keep looking around through the forest.
Do we go our separate ways then?
Well, I guess that's what would depend. Like,
traveling together.
I imagine that, like, you're traveling together just because he thinks it's a better idea to stick together with things like, you know, the quicksand around. But if you guys encounter the road, like, that's what he's looking for. He's just trying to get back to the road. So at that point, he would part ways with you.
Unless we're going the same way.
Well, but presumably you're looking deeper into the woods to try and find the black trees, which would be away from the road.
Oh, okay, so I'm like... But it would make sense to stay on the road for safety. So maybe I'm, like, peering into the woods looking for black trees? I don't know.
I've been imagining it as, like, the road is a good starting place, but in order to find them, like, they're not going to be near the road. Because, again, like, they're all secrecy. So, like, you'd have to kind of plunge into the more dangerous woods to find them, is the way I've been imagining it. So, like, it's not likely that they're near the road. It's more that Flint started from the road a long time ago, got lost, wound up in this shifting forest, and then, by sheer lack of luck, wound up in a place they cared about.
Okay, so I can still use my wayfinding skills then, right? To
Yeah,
continue looking for the
totally.
trees.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll just be like, hey, I'm just gonna continue. Good luck on your journey. Thanks for the hand. Oh.
Oh, jeez. Well,
I just.
safe travels to you. And, all right. let's see if you can find them. Which will probably be one of the last things we do, as we're starting to run a little low on time here. Which is all the more why I want this to only be a troublesome journey, not anything more. Let's see. Oh, crap. We have another miss, though. So I imagine this is, like, before you guys part way, like, you're about to, but then something happens before you can even move on this journey. Ooh, well, that at least it gives you a learning from failure tick. That's something. I'll remember that now.
Yay.
Yep. Move this to be...
It's not all bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just remember.
Totally worth it.
So, yay, no.
Yay, learning from failure. So, let's see, what happens... So we've done quicksand. We've done... I mean, you do have some help here with a mercenary, so now it seems like a less cruel time to indeed do something a little bit more, like, attacky. Oh, you had an idea?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, maybe it's getting dark. Like, maybe I saw the will-o'-the-wisp when it was getting dark.
Oh, yeah. I think it was dusky then.
Dark.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe there's, like, bats. Like,
Ooh.
giant bats or something.
I like it. Yeah, let's go for it. So you're, like, on your way... You're about to leave the area, and like, he's walking away after that kind of an awkward moment, but then he, like, stops and, like, holds a hand up. And I think he even still holds up the one with that's been lopped off, because that used to be his dominant hand, so it's still, like, in moments of instinct like that, still the like hand he would hold up, because he's learned to use the non-dominant hand for swordplay, but like, there's some part of his brain that still thinks of that one as dominant in certain situations. So he, like, holds that up. Did you hear that? And there's, like, this, as you listen, you notice this sound of, like, it's subtle. We can hear these flapping wings and, like, rustlings in high above you. You're all looking around, and then suddenly something, like, just dive bombs out of the treetops in this area that you it's, like, lower than you would expect it. They had managed to get pretty close before revealing itself. Dive bombs out of the trees to try and attack you. Indeed, a giant bat. How big are you thinking here?
I'm thinking, like, bigger than an owl. Like, maybe
Yeah.
the size of a bear.
Ooh, like a bear cub sized owl.
Yeah.
Or not owl, bat.
Bat. Yeah.
Yeah, bear cub sized bat.
Maybe it's just a little bit off looking too, because
Oh, yeah.
where it lives, maybe it has
Like it's like
4 eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe they're.
I like the idea that the 4 eyes, like, go, like, in a band as well. Like, they're like all on one level, and it's like 2 and then another 2, like, more on the sides, which is weird considering bats.
Maybe I just see the glow of them.
Yeah.
Because we have, like, a torch or something.
Yeah,
He
it's
just
a little bit
flex
of...
off these. There's like 4 of them.
Let's see if there's one more little weird detail we can add to him. Like, what if the mouth that they use like for sonar has, it's almost like a split, like the jaw is split down the middle and like kind of opens in a weird way, like it's like a sideways kind of mouth that like hinges open like
Oh
sort of
gosh,
thing.
maybe it is in fact like spider-like. Its face,
Could be.
but it has maybe the ears of a bat. I don't know.
There's one thing I do know for certain, which
Yeah.
is that I don't think we'll have time to really play out what happens with the bat right now. So it's a little bit early, but this seems like as good of a moment as any to move back to our main screen and call it a session. It's as likely as we're going to find to have a good, solid moment to go out
I
on.
wanted to discuss the sonar.
Oh, we totally can. That we have time to do. What are you thinking for the sonar?
That it's damaging sonar. Like it.
Nice. Yeah,
uh,
totally.
Maybe it just like packs a punch and can.
Oh yeah, like you can almost,
Knock you
you can
out.
practically see it in the air. It really hits you that hard. Like,
Yeah,
what if
it
it's
warps
a,
the air.
what I like the idea that instead of it being a really high pitched sonar like a bat would ordinarily use, because it's like really low pitched, like it's just like, and so like
Yeah.
you can really feel it when it hits you. Yeah, it's this
Maybe more
really
drum-like.
way too, drummy and bassy sort of bat sonar. And so it doesn't work as well, so it does rely more on its eyes than usual, but it's like this holdover from regular bats. Like, it's like the sonar is only now useful as a weapon. Because, like, it's too,
Yeah, like, it
it's
doesn't-
too
That's
slow.
how it evolved, or
Yeah, it magically got mutated so that the sonar is there, but ineffective for wayfinding, so it had to use its eyes again better. But now the sonar can just hurt things. Yeah, I like that a lot. So yeah, that'll be an interesting, seemingly pretty dangerous creature. It's a good thing you got some backup
yeah.
for next time. And yeah, so that's been another session of Ironsworn, session 18. I'm glad to be back. I definitely had fun this time. Glad you were able to
I did too.
join us as we get right back into the thick of things and really make some progress and enjoy more just like oracle usage to like kind of discover more about history and invent a new character, all the good stuff today. So again, this game is called Ironsworn. It is freely available at ironswornrpg.com. There is a supplement called Delve, which got all sorts of special additional rules to it. Some of them we're using, some of them not yet, but they may come up. Really cool stuff. Yeah. In fact, if we really wanted to use Delve to its fullest, and I'm not right now because it's not important enough to our story, but like we could have made this forest like a full-on, like basically like a dungeon to have to navigate through. We could have done that, but again, I didn't want to give it that much emphasis. We could have made it a site. But anyway, highly recommend you check it out. It's a great RPG where you really don't have to do any planning whatsoever. We don't at all. All we do is remind ourselves what happens when we last left off and let the dice do the rest. There's enough just inspirational kind of, random generators and stuff, and the dice push you in enough directions that the story keeps going. If you're willing to just kind of roll with it and not nail anything down until the dice say so, like, it goes in interesting directions, and I really recommend you check it out. You don't even need to have a second player to play with. You can play it entirely by yourself, no DM. It is a fantastic game for being quarantined. Yeah, can't say enough good words about how you should totally check it out. ironswornrpg.com. Please check it out. And if you do, let me know about your games. I want to hear about them. Tell me what's been going on in them. And ideally over on the Discord. Head to my Discord, hang out with us, have a good time. Tell us about your games. And failing all of that, at the very least, join us next time. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday at this time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. We do a 2-hour stream where we continue the story of Grae and Flint. I hope to see you around. If you need catching up, there are VODs available on YouTube. There's a link down below this video player. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, congratulations, you're caught up. Anyway, otherwise, yeah, I'm Midnight Jester 8. I do all sorts of stuff on this channel. I'm doing it every day this week at 2 p.m. Different type of stuff. Today it's Ironsworn. Tomorrow I think I'm going to be doing more music. and then some gaming and stuff. But I'm being joined by my guest Blinkin' Firefly, who has got another channel. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, on my channel you can find piano, ukulele, and singing. Mostly lullaby music. That's my specialty, with the tinkly kind of soothing music to put you to sleep.
Does
Or
that
at the very least relax.
Does that guitar in the background ever see love?
Not enough.
Your guitar is like my
I mean-
piano. It just happens to be there.
It's more decoration than anything.
Yeah. But you should absolutely go to twitch.tv/BlinkinFirefly and check out her channel. It's great. I've made fireflies for it. She's got her own little will-o'-the-wisps.
Yes.
Oh,
And,
speaking of, I've
very talented
Mm.
singer.
I have the new features we were talking about yesterday implemented. I've the new shape, and I've made them so that they'll. And I've also made it so now they don't just like all pop in at once or all go away at once. They like fade in one by one when you add fireflies. So I made that work too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Midnight Jester programmed some firefly overlay for me where they float around and it looks really, really cool. So, if anything, check it out for that reason. The channel.
Yeah. But this has been another session of Ironsworn. Thank you for joining us. And again, I hope that you play games of your own because it's a really cool one. You can do so much with it. You don't even have to play in this fantasy setting. It honestly works really well. I did a very fun game set in like a weird version of the Wild West. Another one I've been thinking of that I think would be a lot of fun is I think this system would work really well for like post-apocalyptic sort of like a Mad Max sort of thing. I think would work really well as well. You can really change the coat of paint on it quite a bit, so check it out. But until next time, some signing off phrase. Bye!